Story starts 7th grade. I'm a newly formed Christian. I hadn't believed since I was in 4th grade. I lost my faith because I really wanted to fit in. I started demanding evidence, which I didn't even want to see. And so anyways, a lot of BS happens in my life, a lot of hardship, a lot of self-made hardship. It's not that I'm, growing up and don't have food or something. No, I'm living all good. It's just that me and my mind and my relationship with myself and other people and all these vices like lust and, gaming and all that, it kind of got out of hand and I started feeling very depressed and all that, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, 7th grade comes with all that newly formed self-improvement, red pill type stuff, Andrew Tate. I'm rebirthed. I'm just like, ooh, oh my, what was I doing? I gotta focus on myself. I gotta grind. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. And then it all clicked for me. Then I felt God. In 7th grade, Easter holidays, I started speaking to this one person. And that person, was pagan. Or they sometimes said atheist, but more times they said pagan. And, being the newly formed Christian, I was very reliant on Andrew Tate. I wasn't more reliant on Jesus Christ, and his teachings. I was more reliant on Andrew Tate back then. I'm not ashamed to admit that, And it's not necessarily that his advice was bad, but I really took it literally. I started calling people out, started shaming people or wanted to convert people from, being pagan to being Christian. And that, my friends, is where it all goes wrong. Because I was judging everybody. Brother, I felt like I was the top G. I mean, come on. Imagine, you've lived all your life being this little weird kid who's lived the last few years of his life completely depressed and all this skinny geek type energy, gaming, falling into lust. And now you beat that stuff. You start working out and you're listening to this ultra masculine type of dude. You're going to start doing the same thing because you're like, man, look at me. I'm so great. I'm so this and that. And that's not the way. That's not the way Jesus wants us to treat each other. That's absolutely not the way. And so that pagan person, that person was a very tolerant person. Even though everybody around me said, look at this, he's crazy, he's weird, still talking smack about me. And honestly, rightfully so. I was talking complete bull stuff, bro. At 14, I wanted to start a life coaching business. And I wish I was joking, bro. That's the truth. But that person stayed. And from 7th grade till 8th grade, that person stayed. And I was still kind of the same person, listening more to Andrew Tate and not really following the teachings of Jesus and reading the Bible. But, then 2024 came, last year. And me and that person start talking more deep conversations. I start liking that person a little bit more, but it's only through text. I wasn't brave enough to go up and speak to them at school. But, we start talking more and more. And I start being this more judgmental type of dude, attacking everything that is supposedly, not right. Like, for example, one Bishop Maria Manuel, he got attacked by, some dude with a knife. And I posted that on my story and said, oh, look at this, that's why we need the death sentence back. Completely not the way you should be handling stuff like that when you're a follower of Christ. And I was completely supporting, I think it was Iraq or Iran, I'm sorry, I don't know. But I also posted something like that on my story that basically one of those countries, they said they're making homosexuality illegal and putting people in jails. And I said, yes, F those homos, you feel me? And so that was not who I am. And then, May 2024, the so-called pagan person has had enough. All the people around that person been talking smack about me. Everyone in school, everywhere, bro. Everyone's been hating on me, and rightfully so, to be honest. I was talking complete bullshit stuff. And then the person cracks. I saw on Insta, they don't follow me anymore. And, being the little dude who needs validation, I asked, why I'm followed. And then I got the biggest message of my life. That's where it all clicked. And it was quite emotional for me at that time. Because then I actually realized, oh, schnitzel, bruv. I've been doing it all wrong. Because at that time, I was starting to get closer to Christ, but I was still very my old self. There was nothing like me right now. I respect and love everybody. And I try to help. I don't condemn, because that's not my job. God is the one who judges and says whether you go to heaven or hell. You know, that's not my job to do. All I can do is pray for you, love you, and help you. That's all I can do. But back then I didn't do that. I condemned people, said, oh, look at them, look at this filthy homos, all this, all that, bro. Hateful stuff. And yeah, that one message basically just called out me. Like saying, listen, you don't respect people at all. You are a homophobe. You can't accept other opinions. You feel like the world revolves around you. You're an insecure little skinny bit. Okay, that's not what it said, but it said I was insecure. For the first time, I felt like my soul was taken. You know how David Goggins says, taking souls? Bro, I felt that. I was lost for words. I was like, oh my. So for any of you new followers of Christ, teens who want to be better, men specifically, because I know how it is for the women. I'm just saying, from my experience as a dude, no matter what is true in God's name, no matter what God says is true, it's not your freaking mission to go and condemn people who aren't following it. It's not yours to do, brother. It's God's. God will take care of those people. All you can do is offer help, because back then I didn't understand that fire with fire equal more fire. I preach that in every video of mine right now. Fire with fire never does anything good. Take fire with love, with water, bro. Diffuse it. Why make it even more bigger and angrier? No, it isn't your job to condemn people. It isn't your job to gossip about people. It ain't your job to attack somebody else just because they did something to you or take revenge. No, that's not the way. What Jesus wants from us is to love one another. Love thy neighbor like you love yourself. Pray for all your enemies. Help your enemies. So who do you want to be? Do you want to be the water or the fire? Because listen, the way I was going, my mistakes that I made was I was a very judgmental person. And I thought I was supposedly the God because I was condemning everyone. Left, right, and center, but I was condemning everybody. Everybody on my school walking around, who aren't on the supposed grind. I'm like, oh, look at them lazy pieces of shit. Look at me. I'm doing all this. I'm working out. I'm working on my business. Brother, all of us got our struggles. If you think that way, just remember, all of us got struggles. Like David Goggins says even. I can't judge you. I haven't been in your shoes. And you can't judge either. How can you? I cannot judge you. And you shouldn't judge me. Because you don't know who I am, really. And I don't know who you is, really. But you know who does know us? God. And that's what matters. God is always watching us. So who do you want to be? Do you want to be the guy who does good in the world and tries to help out no matter what? Always with love, because that's what God preaches to us? Or do you want to be the guy who says, no, I'm too alpha for this. I'm gonna take my revenge. I'm gonna say these people are doing the bad thing because that's what they need to hear. Nah. All you gotta do is love them and actually help them. Reach out to them. Talk to them like a human. They are humans just like you. They are sinners just like you. You are no higher than them, my boy. So just be the water. Diffuse the fire and treat everybody with love and respect and help them. Because if you truly care for somebody, you don't condemn them. You don't tell them, oh, look at you, look at your little homo ass. No, you don't do that. You say, hey, brother, I love you and I respect you and I want to help you because I see you're doing something that doesn't align with who you are. I know this isn't you. I want to help you out. Let's talk. Let's go out for a walk. Let's just talk about life, what has happened. It doesn't have to be freaking personal, freaking alpha male type boxing stuff. You don't need to be fighting. There's no need to fight. You just gotta talk. And so, I hope you learned something from my story. Quitters never win. Winners never quit. Meet you in another video. All praise be to God. Amen.